You ever have that gut feeling that something just isn't right? That's how I'd been feeling about my wife, Maya, for the last few months. She started acting different, always on her phone, smiling at messages she wouldn't let me see, late nights at work, new clothes, new perfume, and the worst part, that distance. The kind that creeps in slowly until one day you realize the woman lying next to you feels like a stranger. I loved her. God, I loved her. But I couldn't live in suspicion anymore, so I came up with a plan, one that even now makes my heart ache when I think about it. I told her I had to go on a business trip for a week. It was a lie. There was no trip, no work, just me and a painful truth I needed to uncover. The night before I left, I watched her carefully. She hugged me at the door, said she'd miss me, but her eyes didn't say the same. They looked relieved. That was the moment I knew something was off. But I smiled, kissed her forehead, and said, "I'll call you when I land, okay?" She nodded and waved as I drove off into the night. Once I was a few blocks away, I parked the car and waited until all the lights in the house went off. Then I drove to my friend Daniel's place. He's the only one I trusted with my plan. "Are you sure you want to do this, man?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "If she's loyal, I'll come back and apologize, but if she's not..." My voice broke before I could finish. For the next few days, I watched her from afar. She went to work, came back, ordered food, normal things, until the third night. She dressed up, like really dressed up, a red dress I'd never seen before, perfume so strong I could smell it even from my car when she walked by. I followed her. She drove across town to a small Italian restaurant. My heart pounded as I parked nearby. I watched her walk in and then him. A man, tall, confident, holding flowers. He hugged her. And she didn't pull away. For a second, the world went silent. No cars, no people, no air, just me staring through that windshield at the life I thought I had, shattering in front of me. I could have stormed in, yelled, exposed her, but I didn't, because I wasn't ready for the truth to be that real. Instead, I took photos, every hug, every smile, every moment, and then I drove back to Daniel's place, shaking, crying, and trying to convince myself that maybe, just maybe, there was another explanation. But deep down, I knew. When I texted her that night pretending to be at the hotel, she replied, "Miss you too, sleep early, love." And all I could think was, who were you saying that to just an hour ago? The next day, I decided to go one step further. If she could lie to me so easily, I'd give her the chance to prove herself. I called her from a new number using a fake voice app, pretending to be from her favorite spa. I told her she'd want a special weekend getaway for two. She sounded excited, too excited. She said, "That's perfect, I'll bring someone." I didn't ask who. I didn't have to. I booked the hotel under her name, and 2 days later, I was already there waiting. I checked in under a false name, wearing a hat and sunglasses, and when she arrived, she wasn't alone. The same man. They walked past me laughing, holding hands. That laughter, I hadn't heard it in months, and it wasn't mine anymore. That night, I sat in the car outside their room. I could see their silhouettes through the curtain, her head on his shoulder, her smile. The same smile she once gave me. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. Anger, hurt, shock, every emotion I'd buried for months, boiling up like fire. But then something inside me whispered, "Don't confront her yet. Go home. Let her think she's safe." Because the test wasn't over yet. Not even close. The real test would begin when I came back home unexpectedly. Voice slows down, heavy pause. If you were in my place, would you have confronted her right there? Or would you have waited to expose everything at once? Comment below what you would have done, and don't forget to subscribe for part 2, because when I came back home, what I found waiting inside was worse than betrayal. 3 days had passed since I watched Maya at that hotel with him. 3 long, sleepless, tormenting days. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smile, that fake, soft smile she gave him. And then the memory of her lying next to me, pretending everything was fine. It made my stomach twist, but I wasn't done, not yet. The final step of my plan was to come home early. She thought I was still out of town for work. I told her I'd be gone until Sunday, but by Friday night I was already driving back. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tight that my knuckles turned white. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from something deeper, heartbreak mixed with rage. As I pulled into our street, everything felt too quiet. The lights in the house were dim. Just the soft, golden glow coming from the living room window. It used to be my favorite view, coming home late and seeing Maya waiting for me inside. Now it felt like I was approaching a crime scene. I parked a few houses away, turned off the engine, and sat in silence. Every minute felt like an hour, every breath heavier than the last. Finally, I walked up to the house. I used the spare key, the one she didn't know I still had. And as I pushed the door open slowly, the faint sound of laughter floated through the air. A man's voice. And hers. I froze. There it was, proof. Right there inside my home. I pressed my back against the wall and listened. Their voices came from the living room. Maya laughing. "You're going to get us caught." "Man, relax, he's out of town, you said so yourself." Maya, "Yeah, but if he ever found out." "Man, he won't, he trusts you, right?" Her soft laugh again, the kind I hadn't heard in months. That was it. That was the knife to my chest. I took a step forward, then another, until I could see part of the living room from behind the doorway. They were sitting close together on the couch. The same couch Maya and I picked out when we first moved in. Now it looked tainted. He was feeding her strawberries from a bowl, and she was smiling the same way she used to when we'd watch old movies together. My vision blurred for a second, not from anger, from pain. I had spent years building that home. Every picture, every plant, every piece of furniture, it was us. And now it was them. I stepped out from the shadows. Maya! Her body stiffened. The strawberry in her hand dropped to the floor. The man jumped up, startled. She turned, her face pale as snow. "Alex," she whispered. You weren't supposed to come home," I finished for her. "Yeah, I know, I just wanted to see what my wife does when her husband's away." The silence that followed was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. The man looked guilty but didn't say a word. He glanced between us, then mumbled, "I should go." "No," I said, my voice shaking. "You stay, you're part of this now." Maya's lips trembled. "It's not what it looks like," she whispered. I laughed, not the kind of laugh that means joy, but the kind that escapes when you're too broken to cry. "Really? Then please explain what it looks like, because from where I'm standing it looks exactly like betrayal." She started to cry, grabbing a pillow, covering her face. "Alex, please, it was a mistake." "A mistake?" I interrupted. "You don't accidentally meet a man at a hotel, Maya. You do mistakenly bring him into your home." The man finally spoke. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married." I turned to him slowly, my jaw tightening. "She didn't tell you?" He shook his head, backing toward the door. "I swear I didn't. She said you were separated." Separated. That word hit me like a punch. Maya couldn't even look at me. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there, numb, watching everything I loved fall apart in front of me. "Maya," I said softly, "I gave you everything. The trips, the house, the support when you lost your job, everything." "Why?" She wiped her tears. "Because you stopped being here, Alex. You stopped listening. You were always at work, always tired. I felt invisible." Her words hit hard, because somewhere deep inside, part of it was true. I had been distant. I worked too much. But does that justify what she did? No. I picked up my suitcase, the one I had used to fake my business trip. I placed it on the table and opened it slowly. Inside were the photos I'd taken, the restaurant, the hotel, the hugs, the smiles. Her face turned white. She looked at me, then at the photos, then at the man beside her. "You planned this," she whispered, horrified. "You tested me." "Yes," I said quietly, "and I failed too. I failed to see who you really were." She started begging. "Alex, please, we can fix this. I'll end it. I'll do anything. Just don't leave." But I'd already made up my mind. Some things can't be fixed. You can rebuild a wall, not trust. I took one last look at her, the woman I thought I knew, and said, "The test was never to catch you, Maya. It was to see if there was anything left to save. There is." I walked out. Her sobs echoed through the hallway behind me. I didn't turn back. As I stepped outside into the cold night air, I felt both broken and free. Because sometimes the truth hurts more than the lie, but it's also what sets you free. And yet, as I drove away, something inside me whispered that maybe the story wasn't over. Because when I checked my phone an hour later, there was a message from an unknown number. "You don't know the whole story, Alex. Call me. It's about Maya." Who sent that message? Was Maya hiding something more, or was someone else behind it all? Comment below what you think is really happening, and don't forget to subscribe for part 3, where Alex discovers a secret that turns his entire test upside down. I thought walking out of that house would be the end. I thought I'd close the door, drive away, and leave the pain behind. But pain doesn't stay behind. It rides with you in the passenger seat, silent but heavy. As I drove through the dark streets, Maya's last words echoed in my head. "You stopped being here, Alex?" I wanted to scream, to defend myself, to remind her that every hour I worked was for her. But then my phone buzzed, snapping me out of my thoughts. A message from an unknown number. "Don't know the whole story, Alex. Call me. It's about Maya." I pulled over instantly. The message wasn't some spam. It mentioned her name. I stared at it, debating whether to respond. It could have been a prank or worse, a trap. But curiosity, that cruel thing that always wins, pushed me to call. The phone rang once, twice. Then a voice answered, a woman's voice, calm, slightly shaken. "Alex." "Yes, who is this?" "You don't know me. My name's Clara. I work with Maya." My heart skipped. "Maya's coworker." "Listen," Clara said quickly. "I shouldn't even be calling, but I saw something at the office, and I think you need to know." "What do you mean?" There was a pause, then she whispered, "Maya wasn't having an affair, at least not the kind you think." For a moment, everything went blank. "What are you talking about?" Clara sighed. "Please just meet me tomorrow. There's something you need to see, and don't tell Maya you know about me." The call ended before I could ask anything else. I sat there gripping the phone, heart pounding. If Maya wasn't cheating, then what had I seen? The photos, the hotel, the man, it all looked real. Too real. Was Clara lying, or was I missing something huge? That night I barely slept. Every theory ran through my mind. Maybe Maya was blackmailed, maybe it was a setup, or maybe this was just another layer of her lies. By morning, my head hurt, but I had to know. The next day, I met Clara at a small cafe near the city's edge. She looked nervous, constantly checking the door like she was afraid of being seen. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. I nodded. "You said you had something to tell me about my wife." She slid an envelope across the table. Inside were documents, printed emails, text screenshots, and a photo of that same man Maya had been with. I frowned. "Who is he?" Clara leaned in. "His name is Ryan Keller. He's not her lover, Alex. He's a private investigator." I froze. "What?" "Maya hired him 3 months ago." The words hit me like a thunderclap. It didn't make sense. I'd seen them at a hotel, laughing, holding hands. That didn't look like business. Clara continued. "She thought you were hiding money. She believed you were preparing to leave her. Ryan was supposed to find proof." I couldn't breathe. "She thought I was cheating," Clara nodded. "Yes, she told me she felt you'd grown distant. She said you were cold, secretive, and always on your phone. She even said she found messages to someone named Lena." Lena, I leaned back, rubbing my temples. Lena was my project manager. She handled most of my late-night work texts. "Oh my God," I muttered. "So she thought I was unfaithful, and I thought she was." Clara nodded again. "It was a misunderstanding that spiraled out of control. She fell into a depression after she hired Ryan. Then, somewhere along the way, I think she started to confide in him too much. Maybe that's what you saw, not an affair, but comfort." I stared at the photo of them laughing at the restaurant. That smile. Was it really joy or just relief? My stomach twisted. I'd tested her, spied on her, and accused her, all while she'd been trying to uncover my secrets. The irony burned. I whispered. "Why are you telling me this?" Clara hesitated. "Because Maya was fired last week. She hasn't been the same, and yesterday she came to the office to collect her things. She said she was leaving town for a while. She looked broken, Alex." I sat there speechless. Maya broken. She seemed angry, yes, hurt, yes, but leaving town. "She doesn't know that I called you," Clara continued. "But whatever you decide to do, do it fast, because I think she's running from something." That night I drove back home again. The house felt emptier than before, her things scattered, her perfume faint in the air. I opened her dresser. Half her clothes were gone, her jewelry box empty. And on the kitchen table, a note. It wasn't long, just a few sentences written in her neat handwriting. "Alex, I don't expect you to forgive me. I know I hurt you and I know you saw me with him. But there are things you don't understand. I can't explain them right now, not safely. Just know that I never stopped loving you." My hands shook as I held the note. Not safely. What did that mean? Suddenly, I noticed something else under the paper, a small USB drive taped to the bottom. I hesitated, then plugged it into my laptop. A single video file appeared. It was labeled Truth. Music rises, slow, haunting build. I clicked it. The screen flickered, showing Maya sitting in her car, tears streaking her face. "Alex, if you're watching this, it means I couldn't tell you in person. The man you saw me with, Ryan, he's not who he says he is. I found out something at my office, and now I think I'm in danger. I don't know who to trust anymore. But if anything happens to me, please don't believe the lies. Just remember, everything I did was to protect you." The video ended abruptly. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Protect me? From what? Before I could process it, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown message. "Stop digging, Alex. You've already gone too far." Music cut suddenly, leaving silence. I dropped the phone, staring at it in disbelief. Someone was watching me, someone who knew exactly what I was doing. The test I thought I'd started was never mine to begin with. What was Maya hiding? Who sent that warning? And what secret could be dangerous enough to make her disappear? Tell me what you think in the comments, and subscribe where Alex begins to uncover the dark truth behind Maya's secret life, and the man who wasn't who he claimed to be. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark living room, the same one where I'd caught Maya with him, staring at that message on my phone. "Stop digging, Alex. You've already gone too far." Every few minutes I'd replay her video, her voice trembling, her eyes darting around, the way she whispered, "I'm in danger." The woman I thought was betraying me was now missing, and someone didn't want me to find her. At dawn, I packed a bag, not for a trip this time, but for answers. I started with her laptop. She'd left it behind, locked, password protected, but I knew Maya, she was sentimental. Her passwords were always based on something meaningful. Her first pet's name, Oreo. Nope, our anniversary date. No. Then I remembered our honeymoon hotel room number 306. I typed it in and the screen unlocked. There it was, dozens of emails, folders, and encrypted files. But one thing stood out immediately, a folder named RK Project Blackline. RK Ryan Keller. I opened it. Inside were scanned documents, bank transfers, and what looked like confidential company memos. Most of the files were labeled Confidential Redwood Pharmaceuticals. That was Maya's employer. The more I scrolled, the darker it got. Hidden. Transactions, offshore accounts, and one file titled Leak Plan MP4. When I opened it, my heart sank. It was surveillance footage, grainy, time-stamped late at night. Inside the office, I saw Ryan talking to someone, a man in a suit. The audio was distorted, but I could make out pieces. "Ryan, she's getting too close. If she talks, the board will find out." Man, handle it quietly. We can't afford a scandal. Then Ryan nodded and looked straight at the camera as if he knew someone was watching. I slammed the laptop shut, breathing hard. So Maya wasn't having an affair, she was investigating them, and Ryan wasn't just a private investigator, he was something else entirely. My next call was to Clara. When she answered, her voice was shaky. Alex, did you find the USB? Yes, and I found more. Maya's company, Redwood, what do you know about it? She hesitated. I don't work there anymore. But before I left, I overheard talk about something called Blackline, some kind of research cover-up. Maya was looking into it. Then suddenly she got fired. Do you know where she might go? Anywhere she'd feel safe? Clara paused again. There's a cabin she used to visit, her uncle's place up near Lake Huron. She mentioned it once. But Alex, if she's really in danger, you shouldn't go alone. I almost laughed. Too late for that. By afternoon, I was on the highway heading north, rain streaking the windshield, my mind a storm of guilt and confusion. The woman I had tested spied on had been risking her life trying to protect me, and I'd called it betrayal. Every mile closer to that cabin felt heavier. When I finally reached it, the sun was sinking behind dark clouds. The small wooden cabin stood by the water, silent, still, almost eerie in its isolation. I got out of the car, heart pounding. Maya, I called out. No answer. I pushed the door open. The place looked like someone had left in a hurry, blankets tossed, papers scattered, and on the floor a phone cracked. It was hers. The battery was dead, but when I plugged it into my car charger, the lock screen lit up, a missed call from unknown, timestamped just last night. Then another, Ryan Keller. My throat went dry. Was he looking for her too, or was he the reason she ran? Suddenly I heard something outside, footsteps crunching through the wet gravel. I froze. The cabin door creaked. A man's shadow fell across the doorway. Who's there? I said sharply, my hand gripping the nearest thing I could find, a flashlight. The figure stepped in, and when the light hit his face, my stomach turned. Ryan, he raised his hands slowly. Alex, it's not what you think. My voice came out low and shaking. You've said that before to my wife, right? At the hotel? He sighed. I didn't hurt her. I'm trying to find her. I laughed bitterly. You expect me to believe that? Listen to me, he said firmly. She uncovered something big, data showing Redwood covered up side effects from one of their new drugs. She downloaded proof. That's why they fired her. That's why they're after her. She said she was in danger, I whispered. Ryan nodded. And she's right. They're not after her because she cheated. They're after her because she knows too much. I was hired to investigate her at first, yes, but then I realized she was telling the truth, so I helped her disappear. Disappear? I repeated. Where is she now? He hesitated. That's the thing, I don't know. She went off-grid a week ago. She said if something happened to her, you'd be the only one she trusted. The weight of his words hit me like a brick. She trusted me even after everything. Ryan handed me a small flash drive. This is the rest of what she found. Emails, contracts, evidence. If you care about her, take this to the police. Don't trust anyone from Redwood. They have people everywhere. Before I could reply, a car engine roared outside. Headlights cut through the rain, blinding us. Ryan's expression changed instantly. Too late, he whispered. They found us. He grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the back door. We ran into the woods as two men in suits got out of the black SUV, shouting something I couldn't hear over the storm. Bullets cracked the air, muffled but close. We dove behind a fallen log, hearts pounding. Ryan looked at me. If they get that drive, Maya's gone for good. I clutched the flash drive tightly. Then we don't let them. As we crawled deeper into the woods, lightning flashed, and for a second I thought I saw someone standing farther ahead. A woman, soaked, shivering, watching us. Maya, I whispered, but before I could move, she was gone. Was it really her, or just my mind playing tricks? Either way, one thing was clear. This was no longer just about trust or betrayal. It was about survival. And the test I thought I'd given her had just become mine. Do you think Maya is alive, or was that her ghost in the woods? Comment your theory below, backhand index pointing down, and don't forget to subscribe. The city was still half asleep when I reached the docks. Cold fog rolled across the ground, turning the harbor into a ghost town of shadows and echoing waves. Harbor Point storage sat at the edge of the pier, rows of metal containers stacked like coffins, each marked by faded numbers. 42B, that was the one Alina had mentioned. I parked a block away and walked quietly through puddles, my hoodie pulled up, every sound amplified in the silence. My phone buzzed, a text from Ryan. They found me, don't come back, get to Alina. Then another one seconds later. Trust no one, even her. The message vanished almost instantly, self-deleted. I froze. Trust no one. What did he mean? I reached Unit 42B. Its lock was rusty, but someone had taped a small key to the side, hidden under a loose metal flap. Maya, only she would think of something like that. I unlocked the unit and pushed the door up slowly. The metal creaked loud enough to make my pulse spike. Inside was darkness and the faint smell of old paper, gasoline, and dust. I flicked my flashlight on. Boxes. Stacks of them neatly labeled Redwood Labs, Personal Files, 1998-2024. In the corner, under a tarp, was a small table with an envelope resting on top, my name written in Maya's handwriting. Alex! My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter. If you're reading this, it means I failed to stop them or they came for me first. I know you think I lied, that I betrayed you. But the truth is, I was trying to save you from Redwood and from yourself. I swallowed hard. When I found out you were one of their silent partners, I panicked. I tried to tell you, but every time I got close, someone was listening. They bugged the house, Alex. The company knows everything about the files about me, about us. The words blurred as my eyes stung. The drive isn't the only evidence. What you'll find here in this unit could bring them down, but it's also dangerous. Don't open it until you're ready to see everything. And Alex, if you ever doubt me again, just remember the song I used to hum every night, The Scientist. You said it was our song because it always started slow but ended in truth. Find the truth, even if it destroys me. The letter ended there, no signature. But beneath it was a small metallic box with a biometric lock, her fingerprint reader. I placed my thumb on it, nothing happened. Then I noticed a small folded note taped underneath. Use the ring. I looked down. The wedding ring she gave me, the one with the hidden microchip, she said, was just for fun. It clicked into the reader perfectly. The box opened. Inside was a phone, old, cracked, but still charged. When I powered it on, a video started playing automatically. Maya appeared on screen, eyes tired but determined. Alex, if you're seeing this, I couldn't get to you. Redwood's surveillance is deeper than we thought. They're not just hiding medical data, they're testing control algorithms, behavior manipulation. The serum was just the start. They're embedding neurosignals into it, influencing decisions, emotions, loyalty. I stepped back, heart hammering. What are you talking about? Maya's voice shook slightly. They call it Phase 2. They've already tested it on investors, people they could monitor remotely. You, Alex, you were part of it without knowing. I froze. What? It wasn't your fault. The mood swings, the confusion, the sudden paranoia, those were side effects. You were part of their behavioral test. They used your biometric data through the investor program. My knees almost gave out. They tested it on me? Yes, I tried to pull you out, but the only way was to get their attention off you, to make them believe I was working against you. So I faked everything. The affair, the betrayal. It was the only way they'd stop watching you. Tears blurred my vision. If you're watching this, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you sooner, but the data here and on that flash drive can free you. It can expose what they did. Don't trust anyone from Redwood, not even Alina. She's one of them now. The screen flickered, her voice softened. If you still love me, Alex, don't look for me, just finish what I started. Then the video cut to black. I stood there in silence, the sound of waves outside echoing in the dark unit. My mind was spinning. They tested their serum on me. Maya pretended to cheat to protect me, and Alina was part of them. Before I could think further, my phone buzzed again, unknown number. We see you, Alex. Step away from 42B. Headlights flared through the cracks of the unit door. Engines, at least 3 cars. I stuffed the phone and the drive into my pocket, grabbed the box, and ran to the back exit. Gunshots cracked through the air, metal shards raining around me. I ducked, sprinting through the maze of containers. Voices shouted behind me, male, military, precise. They weren't cops. They were Redwood's private security. I reached the water's edge and leaped onto an old fishing boat tethered to the dock, untied it, shoved off into the fog. The sound of the engines faded behind me as I drifted further into darkness. When I finally caught my breath, I pulled out Maya's letter again. The words, smeared with raindrops, now looked almost like tears. Find the truth, even if it destroys me. I looked out into the gray horizon, the city lights fading behind me. I'll find you, Maya, I whispered. No matter what it takes. Music swells, tense orchestral cue builds, but what Alex doesn't know yet is that the truth he's chasing isn't just about the company, it's about him. Because buried deep inside that flash drive is a recording of his own sessions, proving he wasn't just a victim, he was part of the experiment's success. Narrator tone, what would you do if you discovered your emotions, your very thoughts, weren't truly yours? Would you still fight for love or for revenge? Comment your theory below, backhand index pointing down, and don't forget to subscribe for Part 7, where Alex finally meets Alina and learns a truth that will change everything he thought he knew about Maya and himself. The city was still half asleep when I reached the docks. Cold fog rolled across the ground, turning the harbor into a ghost town of shadows and echoing waves. Harbor Point storage sat at the edge of the pier, rows of metal containers stacked like coffins, each marked by faded numbers. 42B, that was the one Alina had mentioned. I parked a block away and walked quietly through puddles, my hoodie pulled up, every sound amplified in the silence. My phone buzzed, a text from Ryan. They found me. Don't come back. Get to Alina. Then another 1 seconds later. Trust no one, even her. The message vanished almost instantly, self-deleted. I froze. Trust no one. What did he mean? I reached Unit 42B. Its lock was rusty, but someone had taped a small key to the side, hidden under a loose metal flap. Maya. Only she would think of something like that. I unlocked the unit and pushed the door up slowly. The metal creaked loud enough to make my pulse spike. Inside was darkness. And the faint smell of old paper, gasoline, and dust. I flicked my flashlight on. Boxes, stacks of them neatly labeled Redwood Labs, Personal Files, 1998-2024. In the corner, under a tarp, was a small table with an envelope resting on top, my name written in Maya's handwriting. Alex. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter. If you're reading this, it means I failed to stop them, or they came for me first. I know you think I lied. That I betrayed you, but the truth is I was trying to save you from Redwood and from yourself. I swallowed hard. When I found out you were one of their silent partners, I panicked. I tried to tell you, but every time I got close, someone was listening. They bugged the house, Alex. The company knows everything about the files about me, about us. The words blurred as my eyes stung. The drive isn't the only evidence. What you'll find here in this unit could bring them down. But it's also dangerous. Don't open it until you're ready to see everything. And Alex, if you ever doubt me again, just remember the song I used to hum every night, The Scientist. You said it was our song because it always started slow but ended in truth. Find the truth, even if it destroys me. The letter ended there, no signature, but beneath it was a small metallic box with a biometric lock, her fingerprint reader. I placed my thumb on it, nothing happened. Then I noticed a small folded note taped underneath. Use the ring. I looked down. The wedding ring she gave me, the one with the hidden microchip, she said, was just for fun. It clicked into the reader perfectly. The box opened. Inside was a phone, old, cracked, but still charged. When I powered it on, a video started playing automatically. Maya appeared on screen, eyes tired but determined. Alex, if you're seeing this, I couldn't get to you. Redwood's surveillance is deeper than we thought. They're not just hiding medical data, they're testing control algorithms, behavior manipulation. The serum was just the start. They're embedding neurosignals into it, influencing decisions, emotions, loyalty. I stepped back, heart hammering. What are you talking about? Maya's voice shook slightly. They call it Phase 2. They've already tested it on investors, people they could monitor remotely. You, Alex, you were part of it without knowing. I froze. What? It wasn't your fault. The mood swings, the confusion, the sudden paranoia, those were side effects. You were part of their behavioral test. They used your biometric data through the investor program. My knees almost gave out. They tested it on me? Yes, I tried to pull you out, but the only way was to get their attention off you, to make them believe I was working against you. So I faked everything. The affair, the betrayal. It was the only way they'd stop watching you. Tears blurred my vision. If you're watching this, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you sooner, but the data here and on that flash drive can free you. It can expose what they did. Don't trust anyone from Redwood, not even Alina. She's one of them now. The screen flickered, her voice softened. If you still love me, Alex, don't look for me. Just finish what I started. Then the video cut to black. I stood there in silence, the sound of waves outside echoing in the dark unit. My mind was spinning. They tested their serum on me. Maya pretended to cheat to protect me, and Alina was part of them. Before I could think further, my phone buzzed again, unknown number. We see you, Alex. Step away from 42B. Headlights flared through the cracks of the unit door. Engines, at least 3 cars. I stuffed the phone and the drive into my pocket, grabbed the box, and ran to the back exit. Gunshots cracked through the air, metal shards raining around me. I ducked, sprinting through the maze of containers. Voices shouted behind me, male, military, precise. They weren't cops. They were Redwood's private security. I reached the water's edge and leaped onto an old fishing boat tethered to the dock. Untied it, shoved off into the fog. The sound of the engines faded behind me as I drifted further into darkness. When I finally caught my breath, I pulled out Maya's letter again. The words, smeared with raindrops, now looked almost like tears. Find the truth, even if it destroys me. I looked out into the gray horizon, the city lights fading behind me. I'll find you, Maya, I whispered, no matter what it takes. But what Alex doesn't know yet is that the truth he's chasing isn't just about the company, it's about him. Because buried deep inside that flash drive is a recording of his own sessions, proving he wasn't just a victim, he was part of the experiment's success. Narrator tone, what would you do if you discovered your emotions, your very thoughts, weren't truly yours? Would you still fight for love or for revenge? Comment your theory below, backhand index pointing down, and don't forget to subscribe for Part 7, where Alex finally meets Alina and learns a truth that will change everything he thought he knew about Maya and himself. Low ambient hum fades in, muffled boat engine, soft rain over metal. By the time the sun rose over the harbor, the fog had started to thin. I drifted for hours, clutching the box and the flash drive like my life depended on them. The world felt unreal. Maya's voice still echoed in my head. They tested it on you. Every moment of anger I'd felt toward her, every suspicion, every doubt, had all of that been programmed? I tried not to think about it. Instead, I focused on the one name that kept coming back, Elena Brooks. Maya said not to trust her. But right now, Elena was the only lead I had. If I wanted to find out where Maya was or what Redwood was still hiding, I needed answers. I docked the boat at a quiet pier and made my way toward the city. My clothes were soaked, my hands trembling. I felt like a ghost walking among the living, invisible but hunted. I used a stranger's phone at a gas station to call Alina. She picked up instantly. "Alex, where are you?" Her tone was urgent, a little too rehearsed. "You have no idea how dangerous this is. I've been trying to reach you all morning." "Ryan's gone. They think you have the original data." "I do," I said quietly, "and I know what's on it." A pause. "Then you've seen the videos?" "Yes, all of them." "Then you know Maya was in over her head. She wasn't honest with you, Alex. She was part of this long before you knew." My pulse jumped. "What are you talking about?" "Come to my office," she said calmly. "I'll show you what she didn't tell you." Her office was downtown, a small building surrounded by glass towers, the kind of place journalists used to stay off the radar. But when I got there, something felt off. There were no lights on inside. The blinds were half drawn. Still, I pushed the door open. "Elena!" No answer. Then a voice behind me. "You really shouldn't have come alone." I turned sharply. Elena Brooks stood in the doorway, mid-40s, sharp eyes, trench coat slightly wet from rain. She looked calm, too calm. "You look tired," she said softly. "Maya always said you pushed yourself too hard when you were scared." "Where is she?" I demanded. "Gone. You need to let her go, Alex. She's not the woman you think she is." "She saved me." "She used you," Elena said, her voice suddenly colder. "Redwood didn't choose you at random. You were their control subject. Maya volunteered to monitor you. That's how she got close." I froze. "What are you saying?" She walked closer, eyes steady. "Maya was part of Redwood's internal research team before she ever met you. Her assignment was to test how emotional bonds affect neural conditioning. You were her case study." I shook my head violently. "No, no, that's not true," Elena sighed. "You don't have to believe me, but you might believe this." She pulled out a folder, thick, labeled Redwood, subject file A17. My initials. I opened it. There were photos of me in lab rooms I didn't remember. Medical scans, charts of my brain activity over months, dates matching times I'd felt angry for no reason, moments I'd doubted her, moments I'd lost control. This can't be real," I muttered. "It's all real," she said. "Maya's experiment worked. That's why she tried to destroy the data. She didn't want Redwood to repeat it. But make no mistake, Alex, you were her project." I dropped the folder, my hands shaking uncontrollably. Images of Maya's smile, her laughter, her gentle words, they flickered through my mind like a slideshow of lies. "She said she loved me," I whispered. "Maybe she did," Elena said softly, "but love wasn't supposed to happen. That's why everything fell apart." She looked away for a moment, her tone softening. "She went rogue, tried to expose the project. Redwood ordered her eliminated, and she ran." I stared at her. "And you just want me to believe that?" "No," she said, handing me a drive. "I want you to see it." The file on the drive was a recorded log, audio only, a conversation between two voices, Maya's and mine. "Maya, he's responding better than expected. Emotional triggers seem stable." "Unknown male, and his awareness." "Maya, minimal. He believes I'm his wife now." "Unknown male, good. Continue the bonding phase." My breath caught. "No." Elena watched quietly, her expression unreadable. "You see, it was never real. None of it." I stepped back, nearly tripping over a chair. The room felt like it was spinning. But then something inside me, something buried under shock, whispered. She warned me not to trust Elena. And Maya's letter came back to me. "They'll twist everything. They'll show you what they want you to see." I looked up sharply. "How do I know you didn't fake that?" Elena smiled faintly. "Because you're starting to remember, aren't you?" She stepped closer, her eyes cold now. "Tell me, Alex, what do you think those headaches were, those gaps in your memory?" "You think Maya could do that alone?" I backed toward the door. "You're lying." "No," she said calmly. "I'm finishing what she started." Then she pulled something from her pocket, a small syringe, clear liquid, familiar. "Don't fight it, Alex. You were meant to complete the program." I bolted, knocked over the chair, slammed into the door, ran into the hallway. Her voice echoed behind me. "You can't run from who you are." I stumbled down the stairwell, gripping the flash drive tight, my breath ragged. Everything felt distorted, lights bending, sounds echoing wrong. Was she right? Were these false memories or real ones breaking through? Outside, the rain hit my face like pins. I ducked into a narrow alley, heart racing. When I finally stopped, I looked at my reflection in a puddle, pale, wild-eyed, unfamiliar, and for a split second, I heard her voice. "Don't let them rewrite you, Alex," Maya's voice, inside my head. Music shifts, softer, emotional undertone. I dropped to my knees, gripping my temples, two realities colliding inside me. If Maya was part of it, why would she risk everything to protect me? And if Alina was telling the truth, then who was I, really? When I looked up, a car was parked at the end of the alley. A woman inside, watching me. Then she stepped out, long coat, dark glasses, and when she took them off, my heart stopped. "Maya," I whispered. She smiled faintly, tired, real. "You shouldn't have come, Alex." He thought she was gone. He thought she betrayed him. But now Maya's back, and the truth she carries might not save Alex. It might destroy him. If you were in Alex's place and saw your supposedly dead wife suddenly return after all that, would you trust her or turn her in? Comment your theory below and don't forget to subscribe for Part 8, where Maya finally tells Alex what really happened, and the shocking truth behind Project Blackline will be revealed. The alley was silent except for the rain. Maya stood a few feet away, her coat soaked, hair clinging to her face. I couldn't move. I just stared at her, my breath caught somewhere between shock and disbelief. Maya, her name left my mouth like it didn't belong to me anymore. She looked the same and yet not, thinner, paler, eyes haunted. "You're alive," I said. How is that possible? I saw the report. They said what they needed you to believe," she interrupted softly. "They wanted you to stop looking." I took a step forward. "Elena said you worked for them, that you used me." Maya's jaw tightened. "Did she show you the file?" "She showed me everything." My voice broke. "The lab, the recordings, my name, A17. She said I was your experiment." Her expression changed then, not shock, not guilt, something heavier. "You were never my experiment, Alex. You were my mistake." That sentence hit harder than a bullet. I stood frozen as she walked closer, her eyes searching mine. "When I met you," she continued, "I was already deep inside Redwood. I was studying behavioral mapping. My job was to test how emotional connections affect neural response to their serum. We were supposed to simulate relationships between subjects and handlers." My stomach turned. "Handlers?" "Yes, they paired us, scientists, with test subjects, so we could manipulate emotions directly and record the brain's response. I was supposed to monitor your reactions after each injection." "So it was all real," I whispered. "The tests, the memory gaps, the blackouts. They were part of Phase 1. You weren't supposed to remember any of it." I ran a hand through my hair, trying to breathe. "Then why me? Out of everyone, why me?" "Because you were perfect," she said quietly. "Stable, intelligent, emotionally transparent. You made the data clean, and you trusted easily. That's what they wanted." I laughed bitterly. "And you played your role perfectly. You made me fall in love with you." Her voice cracked. "That part wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to care. But I did, Alex. Somewhere along the line, I stopped running experiments and started building a life." I stared at her, trembling. "Then why did you lie? Why did you let me think you cheated? Why vanish?" "Because they found out." She looked away, eyes wet. "They realized my results didn't match their projections. They said I was interfering emotionally with my subject, that you were becoming unpredictable. They tried to recondition you." I stepped back. "Recondition me?" "They wanted to erase everything that wasn't theirs, your doubts, your feelings for me, even your memory of what we did together. But I couldn't let them, so I altered the data and made it look like you'd broken down psychologically. That got you removed from the program." I stared at her, my mind spinning. "You're saying you saved me?" "Yes." She took a small step forward. "But to protect you, I had to make you believe I betrayed you. That was the only way they'd stop watching you." My throat tightened. "And Ryan, he said you were working with him to expose Redwood." She nodded. "He was one of the original test engineers. When he found out they were planning to restart the trials, he helped me steal the research logs. But he didn't know everything. He thought the serum was just a neurological drug. He didn't know about Phase 2. "Phase 2, I repeated. "Elena said it's about control." Maya's voice dropped. "Not just control, programming. The serum rewires emotional responses permanently. It lets Redwood manipulate behavior remotely through stimuli embedded in media, sound, or even scent. They tested it on investors, then on field subjects. The last stage," she looked straight at me, "was you." I felt sick. "You mean it's still inside you," she said, "but incomplete. They can't access you fully because I blocked the final link. That's why they want the data back. You're the only living subject who's both responsive and free." I took a step back. "Free? You call this free?" I shouted. "I don't even know what's real anymore. Every thought, every feeling, I can't tell if it's mine or something they built into me." She looked at me with so much sadness it hurt to meet her eyes. "You're real, Alex. Everything after I took you out of the lab, every day, every fight, every kiss, that was real. You expect me to believe that after everything? I don't expect you to believe me," she said. "I expect you to survive." Her words came out like an order. She reached into her coat and handed me a folded sheet of paper. "Coordinates. A safe house outside the city. Someone there can remove the serum's residual code before they activate the next phase. What happens if they do activate it?" Her silence was enough. "Maya," she finally said it, "if they trigger Phase 2, you'll lose yourself completely, your memories, your choices, they'll rewrite everything. You'll become one of them." I stood there shaking, trying to hold on to something solid in my head. "So what now, we run again?" "I can't run anymore," she said. "I made too many enemies inside Redwood. They'll track me wherever I go, but you still have a chance. You can expose them, Alex. You can end this." I reached for her hand and she didn't pull away. Her fingers were cold, fragile. I don't want to do this without you. You have to. Her voice was barely a whisper. If they catch me, they'll use me to get to you, but if you disappear now, they'll lose control of their last viable subject. I don't care, I said. I'm not leaving you again. Tears filled her eyes. You don't have a choice. A noise echoed down the alley, tires screeching, doors slamming. Maya looked over her shoulder. They found us. Come with me, I said, grabbing her wrist. She shook her head. Go, Alex, follow the coordinates, find Dr. Halden. He's the only one who can finish what I started. What about you? She pressed a small device into my palm, a key shaped like a pen drive. When the time comes, use this on the main Redwood server. It'll wipe everything. I held her gaze. I'm not leaving you. She stepped close, kissed me hard, fast, desperate. For what it's worth, she whispered, I never faked loving you. Before I could answer, she pushed me toward the other end of the alley. I heard the first gunshot echo as I ran. I didn't look back. I couldn't. When I reached the corner, I turned once. Smoke drifted through the rain. The place where she'd stood was empty. I clutched the paper, the key, and the flash drive to my chest. If she was gone again, this time it was final. But she'd given me something else, something Redwood could never control. Purpose. And I swore right there that I'd finish what she started, even if it killed me. I sat across from Maya at that small cafe, the same one where we had our first date years ago. It felt strange to be there again, like time was trying to loop back to give me a chance to rewrite what had already happened. She looked nervous, her hands fidgeting around her cup, eyes darting away from mine. Why here? She asked softly. I shrugged. Because this is where everything started. Maybe it's fair it ends here too. She looked down. So what now? I took a deep breath. That depends on you, Maya. I need to hear the truth, everything. No excuses, no half-truths. Her lips trembled. You already know what I did. I betrayed you. I let myself drift away. I thought you stopped loving me. I didn't stop loving you, I said, voice breaking. I stopped recognizing you. She wiped a tear, nodding slowly. And I stopped recognizing myself. I leaned back, staring at her. Then tell me about him. Who is he? Long. His name is Ethan. We met at work. It started as just talking, then lunches, then it went further. It wasn't love. It was a distraction. He listened. You didn't. That's how it began. That's how betrayal always begins, I said bitterly. One small excuse at a time. She bit her lip. I know I destroyed everything. I thought I could fill a void, but it only made it deeper. For a moment, silence sat between us. Only the soft hum of people talking around us filled the air. Maya, do you understand what your lie did to me? I stopped sleeping. I stopped trusting. I questioned every moment we ever had. I know, she whispered. I hate myself for it. I looked down at my hands. The ring still glimmered faintly, though it meant nothing now. So why did you stay after I came back? Why not leave? Because I was afraid. I thought maybe we could fix it, that if I buried the truth deep enough, it would disappear. And did it? Her eyes filled again. No. Followed me every single day. When you looked at me and smiled, I felt sick because you didn't know what I'd done. I exhaled, long and heavy. I came back early to test you, I wanted to see if you'd miss me. Instead, I found you laughing with someone else. I wish you hadn't, she said quietly. I wish you never saw that version of me. But that's who you became, Maya. I didn't make you cheat. I gave you trust and you broke it. She pressed her palm to her forehead, tears sliding down. So what happens now? I looked out the window. The world outside moved like normal, people rushing, laughing, living their lives, and I felt strangely detached from it all. Now, I said finally, I finish what I started. She blinked. What do you mean? I told you that trip was a test, I said. It still is. I wanted to see how far you'd go, how honest you'd be when I already knew everything. Her face went pale. You recorded me. No, I said quietly. I recorded myself. My reactions, every night, every suspicion, so I wouldn't forget what it felt like to be lied to, because someday I knew I'd be tempted to forgive you, and I needed to remember why I shouldn't. Maya's voice broke. You really think there's no way back? There's always a way back, I said, standing up. Just not to me. She stood too, tears streaming down. Please don't walk away like this. I already did, I said, slipping the ring off my finger. I placed it gently on the table. The moment I saw you with him, I stopped being your husband. I just hadn't accepted it yet. She stared at the ring, trembling. I deserve this, every bit of it. I didn't come here for revenge, Maya, I said quietly. I came to tell you that I forgive you, but forgiveness isn't the same as trust. It's just me letting go of the pain. Her voice cracked. So that's it. That's it. I turned to leave. For a moment, I thought she might grab my hand, beg, scream, plead, but she didn't. She just stood there, crying silently as I walked away. Outside, the air felt different, lighter. It wasn't peace exactly, but something close. I walked back to my car, got in, and stared at the photo on my dashboard, the one from our honeymoon. For a second, I almost smiled. Then I put it face down. Daniel called as I started the engine. You okay, man? I don't know, I said, but I'm free. What are you gonna do now? Maybe I'll actually take that trip this time, I said. Not to test anyone, just to find myself again. There was a long pause on the other end. You did what most people wouldn't have the courage to do. You faced the truth. Yeah, I said, pulling out onto the road, but the truth always costs something. As the city lights blurred past, I thought about everything, the lies, the love, the moments that could never be returned. Maybe in another life we could have fixed it, but not in this one. That night I drove until sunrise. Somewhere between the fading darkness and the first hint of morning light, I realized the test wasn't really about her. It was about me, about whether I'd have the strength to walk away from what was already broken, and for the first time in months I did.